Many of you asked me to cover this story today, so let's go. New York Post UFO reporter Stephen Greenstreet put out a new video under the Basement Office moniker. UFO religion influencing Congress to hunt aliens, says top Pentagon official. Now, this is basically in response to Sean Kirkpatrick's op-ed in Scientific America and a few other details that are in there. So this is going to be quite a spicy video. So stick around to the end. I got a lot to cover. And and I'm also going to talk about two interviews I did on two different podcasts that I want to share with you guys. So stick around to the end. I'll share that, some information about that. So anyway, let's dive in, y'all. If you're new to the channel, you like content like this, hit that subscribe button, y'all. We put out a new video every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do not miss a day. Now, please hit that like button, y'all. I really worked hard on this video, and that really helps out the videos. So thank y'all so much for the support there. And, of course, comment down below. What do you think of Stephen Greenstreet's video in the Basement Office and how he covered Sean Kirkpatrick's comments? And what do you think of my comments about the video and what I propose? So let's dive in. All right, first thing we're going to start with is the description of this video on the New York Post, because I just thought it was interesting. Look, Stephen's whole thing is very much, what's the inaccuracy of my reporting, right? Because people will attack him personally, and he's always like, well, what's the inaccuracy of my reporting, right? That's what he always says. Well, I think I'm going to point out a couple. In my opinion, they're inaccuracies, or at least not the whole truth, right? So let's dive in. This is the first one. Right off the bat, in my opinion, it says Sean Kirkpatrick, the director of the Pentagon's UFO Investigation Office, recently retired, went public, and revealed the truth about UFOs. What? He revealed the truth about UFOs? All of the UFOs? UFO just stands for unidentified flying object. So he revealed the truth about all unidentified flying objects? That just, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, YouTuber or this, my channel, like, I get it. You write something like that. But this is the New York Post, right? It's supposed to be an established publication, right? News-oriented, right? So that just seems odd to me right off the bat. How can he reveal the truth about all UFOs? That's impossible. Nobody can. Not anyone on Earth. Not Jeremy Corbell, not Ross Coulthart, any of these guys. Nobody can reveal the truth about all UFOs. So anyway, is it semantics? Yeah, maybe. But I'm just saying, inaccuracy in reporting, that seems pretty inaccurate, or at least not the whole truth, right? So, but again, he said, and this just give you an idea of what's in the video, right? Because I'm not going to play the whole video. And again, I'll put a link in the description. You can go watch the video for yourself. He says, during his time investigating UFOs at the Pentagon with top secret access to everything, that's not true. He did not have top secret access to everything. In fact, there was a point in time where he didn't have all the access he needed, and he asked for more access in a public hearing. Hey, I actually could use more. And it was never reported if that was given to him. But he didn't have clearance, top secret access to everything the entire time he was at Aero. Did he at one point in time? Potentially, but not the entire time. So again, not necessarily inaccurate, but not the whole truth. He found no evidence of aliens flying around our skies. Well, that's not what he said. He didn't say that they didn't find no evidence of aliens flying around our skies, because only the no evidence of aliens is in quotes. So again, it's just not the whole truth, right? And he says a small group of religious UFO activists and conspiracists have spent years duping Congress with false and deceptive claims. He never used the word deceptive. That's Greenstreet putting that in, right? And he didn't say false either, right? I encourage y'all to listen to Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick's interviews, which are in a video that I'm going to put in the description, okay? I made a video about Sean Kirkpatrick's op-ed, and you can find the links there. And yeah, I'm surprised he didn't link them here, to be honest with you. The interviews of Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, because it's used in this video. So anyway, I'll put links to them directly, actually, so you don't have to search around for them. So I'll put links to Sean Kirkpatrick's interviews in there. All right, let's watch. Okay. Hang on. One last part here. So some of these religious UFO believers are now angry with Kirkpatrick, with many popular UFO celebrities lashing out with violent and warlike calls to arms. Kirkpatrick's statements support and validate exactly what the Post Stephen Greenstreet has been reporting for the last 2 years. All right, let's dive into this video.
In July 2022, bipartisan congressional leaders like Senators Kirsten Gillibrand and Marco Rubio helped create a new Pentagon UFO program called the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. Placed in charge of AARO was a scientist named Sean Kirkpatrick, and there were some who wondered, who is this guy? Is he part of this small group of activists? Or was he independent of this group? In March 2023, I released a lengthy article in the New York Post, again exposing this group of paranormal activists. I found new documented evidence, dug up more leads, connected more dots. And what I discovered was that some of these activists inside government had missed foreign spycraft over American skies for years, because they were instead chasing spooky UFOs. They thought what they were seeing was something otherworldly, when in fact, we now know, some of these objects were foreign spycraft. In the wake of the big Chinese spy balloon story, this was a huge revelation, a huge bombshell. But again, the mainstream news media, other than one reporter at the Washington Examiner, doesn't cover it, doesn't pick it up, doesn't ask about it, doesn't look into it. They just keep churning out more and more credulous stories about UFOs. A new piece to all of this that I revealed is how the UFO story is directly connected to a spooky property in Utah called Skinwalker Ranch, which for years has been claimed to be home to UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, monsters of all types. I went out to Skinwalker Ranch and debunked it. There's nothing there. I connected the dots. I put names to faces and was able to create this family tree of sorts of these activists who, for years and in some cases decades, have been telling the same tall tales in order to get taxpayer money to investigate the paranormal.
So, okay, I got 2 clips. That's the first one. I'll play the other one in a second. Real quick, a couple comments about this. This is a pretty big part to me of this video that when I first saw it, I was like, wait, what? He says he went to Skinwalker Ranch and debunked it. He went one time and debunked it. Like, how does that make any sense? He spent one night there. You know, that just doesn't make any sense, right? That's like saying I went one time and proved there's ghosts there. It's the same thing. I went one time and debunked it. Now, again, I'm not saying that there is paranormal activity at Skinwalker Ranch. I'm not saying that. I don't know. But what I do know is that it is impossible to go spend one night there and then say, yep, that's it. I debunked it. It's over. Forget about it. Again, that makes zero sense to me. Again, it's the exact same as saying I went one time, I spent the night there, and I proved it's true. Because Stephen Greenstreet would be all over that, right? So again, is it inaccurate? It's not the whole truth, right? It's a little disingenuous to say that. I went one time and debunked it. I went there and debunked it. And again, I get it. He's going to say, I'm sure, in the comments here of this video, because I'm sure he'll comment, and I hope he does comment on this video, to be honest with you. Of course, that's what we want, discourse. So please. But I'm sure he's going to say, well, there's other tangential reporting I did and connected the dots, and all that together is me debunking it. Okay. But still, you went one time to this actual place that this is about, right? And your story builds on Skinwalker Ranch a lot. Your whole the whole narrative that you've had in many videos. You know, but to be fair, be devil's advocate, not even devil's advocate, just to be fair to this report, like the idea that we were looking for UFOs and meanwhile we had, foreign spacecraft or aircraft, flying around and we weren't paying attention to it because we were worried about UFOs. Yeah, that's a problem. I got to admit, that's a problem. Okay, that's not cool. If we're that concerned about national security, that should not be ignored, right? And is that maybe part of the problem of looking into UFOs? Now you start to underestimate our foreign adversaries, and they don't become your first guess as to what it is, right? It's probably in our best interest for national security to just assume that first, foreign national. It's almost like aliens should be the last thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't consider it, by no means. I'm not saying that. But, right, we can chew gum and walk at the same time. We can study UFOs and UAPs, right, and also pay attention to foreign craft coming in to our airspace, right? Now, I haven't, there's been no interviews or anything with the people that were involved in this in the government to sort of give their feedback on this story, right? So maybe there's a reason. Maybe they'll say, no, that didn't happen. We were looking at balloons, right? That's not true. That's also possible because let's be real. The government, the Pentagon, the DOD, all the spokespeople, they put out conflicting statements all the time. And Stephen Greenstreet would have to agree with that because it's happened to him, right? There's no way Stephen Greenstreet can say, I trust everything that the government tells me, right? I trust what the DOD and the Pentagon tells me. Because again, certain things certain things from certain people within the Pentagon or DOD doesn't want to accept, and then others he wants to. So I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong in inferring that, but that's kind of the feeling I get. Again, it just becomes very hard, right? You kind of have to take it all with a grain of salt. Now, is it like, well, it fits the story I'm trying to tell, so that must be true what they're telling me, right? And I'll explain what I mean by that. I have a good example here in just a moment, actually in this next clip that I'm about to show you. But for me, a big part of an inaccuracy in this video is this whole idea that he debunked Skinwalker Ranch by going one time. Again, I'm sure the comment will be it's this tangential investigation. But again, the actual place that you're talking about, you went one time. So that's just not enough for me. I'm sorry. That's like going out, in Texas here, there's a lot of like dinosaur bones and that kind of thing in Texas here, right? Like they roamed Texas back in the day, right? Back in the day. That's like walking out to some of these places where, they may be at and just kind of walking around, looking around and being like, well, I didn't find anything. Guess there's nothing here. And you just brushed a few rocks and then you walked away. Right? Because Stephen Greenstreet stayed one night in Skinwalker Ranch. I saw the video. It was fine. Right? It's a good video. But he went one time. He stayed one night. Right? He spent one night in the house, had one, what you could call one experience as a whole. I'm just saying, if you really want to debunk it, you would have to go there quite a few times, I think, to at least have some credibility to say you debunked it. Because that's a statement. You're saying, I debunked it. Not, odds are I debunked it. In my opinion, that's not what it is, right? It's like, that's not true. That can't be. Again, that's impossible. It's just impossible to say you debunked it. Again, it would be the same as someone saying, there's aliens here. I went one time and there's ghosts here. I'm just saying, it's the same thing as saying that. If you go one time, I just. So, and again, the same thing with the description, right? Where I mentioned he revealed the truth about UFO. Again, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you are on this subject. If you're a full believer or a full skeptic or whatever, I would say the same thing to both sides. So anyway, those seem like inaccuracies to me in the reporting, or at least, again, not the whole truth, and maybe a little disingenuous there. And nobody's perfect, so not judging for that. But again, that's what Stephen always asks for, right? Show me my inaccuracy in my reporting. And let's see how he responds. Maybe he responds in kind and says, yep, you're right. Cool. I'm happy to amend that or change my position. Or people should be allowed to do that too, y'all. People should be allowed to amend their position, change their position, take in new information. I have no problem with that. That's fair. Honestly, I respect somebody who does that more than anything. Because how can somebody always be right about everything all the time? Like, hello, this is impossible. So, all right, let's go to the next clip here.
So the guy who was at the top of all of this at the Pentagon is saying that a UFO religion has infiltrated the United States government, has infiltrated the United States Congress. Why aren't more people talking about this? Kirkpatrick's op-ed and podcast sent shockwaves through the UFO community. Many UFO activists are accusing Kirkpatrick as being part of a conspiracy to cover up aliens. But it gets weirder than that. In Kirkpatrick's op-ed, as he's outlining his case, his article links to outside third-party supportive articles. One of the links, where he's talking about how this group is connected to Skinwalker Ranch, links to my March 2023 New York Post article. This, of course, started a whole explosion of online conspiracy theories. UFO activists were suddenly claiming that this link to my story proved that I was in cahoots with Sean Kirkpatrick, and that Kirkpatrick and Stephen Greenstreet had been working together nefariously behind the scenes. There are accusations all over social media that I am a government plant, a CIA agent, a man in black, a whole bunch of crazy stuff. The truth is, while Kirkpatrick was at the Pentagon, I requested comment from him multiple times. I was denied every time. I requested an interview with him. I was denied every time. The first time I was actually able to communicate with Sean Kirkpatrick was after his op-ed. He replied to one of my emails in which I was asking, hey, I noticed you linked to my article, so I assume you're familiar with my reporting. Kirkpatrick responded, my apologies, but I have not read your work. The links were included by Scientific American to point to other reporting and is not meant to be either an endorsement or represent my agreement. I appreciate your interest, but I am not taking more interviews until after my report is delivered to Congress. So Kirkpatrick apparently hasn't read my reporting, but he's apparently come to the same conclusions as my reporting. No evidence of aliens, and a group of activists telling tall tales to Congress.
So again, I put a link in the description to all this. I'm not going to show the whole video, right? You go watch it for that, so you can see that. But it is interesting. Okay, I've got another special clip to show you that I find quite fascinating. But let me just address something real quick. Stephen being like a CIA plant, right? So this is what I think. I think plants aren't, if there's a government plant, like, they're not going to be telling you this is fake. The government plants are going to be telling you this is real. You know what I mean? But regardless of that, let's be real. Stephen Greenstreet would be the absolute worst plant to have, right? It doesn't make any sense. You're saying that he started the basement office with Nick Pope to promote ufology and look into UFO cases, and then he turns on the topic, right, and starts heading a different direction? That doesn't make any sense. What kind of plan is that? You would not hire this person. It makes no sense. I mean, he would be everyone's thinking he is. It would be the worst choice they could make, right? Let's be real, y'all. Really look at yourself. I know that sounds good to say that. He's a plant. He's a CIA agent. Dude, people call me that. You know what I mean? It's like, if you could just see my house and like know my history, like it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's crazy. It's the first thing people love to say about a lot of people. He's a plant. He's a plant. He's a plant. Let's be real, okay? Like, people could just have different opinions, y'all. They just don't think like you. It doesn't mean they're a CIA plant. Again, there would be the worst. It's not anyone you think it is. Let's be real. If there is a plant, it's not anyone you're guessing right away, y'all. Okay? It's just not. And again, I think, honestly, personally, it would be someone who's saying UFOs are real. Not, how are they feeding him misinformation to spread to us? Right? What are they feeding him? Right? It doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't make sense at all. And I get it sounds good to say it. You get likes, you get clicks, you get, people love hearing that on Twitter, and they go, yeah, and you get likes. I think people honestly tweet it because they know people will get behind it. And that's a big part of social media. Doesn't mean you necessarily think that but just let me put this out and that will get me some likes, right? Because again, who are you convincing that he's a CIA agent that way by just saying that? Nobody. You're not convincing anybody. You're just agreeing with other people who think the same thing. I can't see how any rational-minded, critical-thinking person would just jump to that conclusion. I get he worked for the State Department and people brought that all up and whatever. Who cares? Lots of people have worked for the State Department. Like, if you worked for the government, that makes you a plant. That would literally mean almost everyone in ufology is a plant. How many people do we say they worked for the government and now there's, right? I mean, what? Again, right? That would mean David Grush is a plant, David Fravor, Ryan Graves. I guess if you worked for the government at one point, you know what I mean? That can't be that can't be the playing field you set up. Because then you have to play in there with everybody. And that's the same thing I'm saying about Steven with him, right? I debunked Skinwalker Ranch by going one time. Dude, what kind of statement is that, right? Like, that's the playing field you're setting up? Then you can't be mad, at some of the stuff you're reporting on. It's the same thing. They had one experience at Skinwalker Ranch, saw something, and then went back and got funding for it. You think that's crazy, wacky, kooky. Those are your words, right? Kooky, wacky, whatever the words you use, right, to describe these people. For doing that. And then you literally do the same thing. You say you went one time, debunked it, and that's your whole story. You're building your whole story on it, right? You got funding from New York Post to make that story. It's literally the same thing. It's the exact same thing, right? Colm Kelleher, Jay Stratton, right? They've had one experience at the ranch. Let's just say it was one. They probably had more. But let's just say they had one. They went back. They got fun, right? Like, it's the same thing. So that's just a dangerous thing. I don't think a lot of people caught that. I think it just went by and nobody caught that because I haven't seen any comments about it. I haven't seen anybody bringing it up. All right, but that's what I do at Vetted, y'all. I'm all about the details, the nuance. I pay attention to those small things. And people will point that all the time in the comments like, let that go, Patrick. No, this is where it is. It's in the details, y'all. So again, just being fair here. I definitely don't think Steven Greenstreet is a plant. That's just nuts to say, in my opinion. Of course, you're entitled to your opinion. Think whatever you want. But that makes zero sense to have him as a plant. He would be the worst choice in the history of government plants. It just doesn't make sense. Now, something I find interesting that Steven Greenstreet, I just find this interesting. So let's look at it. This is all right. Some conflicting statements from Steven Greenstreet about Sean Kirkpatrick. In the video that he made, he is singing Kirkpatrick's praises, right? Like, he came to the same conclusion as me, this, that, and the other. Well, March 20, March 28th of last year, 2023, he says, Kirkpatrick is a total UFO guy with Skinwalker Ranch ties, like McKernan, Stratton, etc. What? So what happened to make you think he's not a UFO guy with Skinwalker Ranch ties? Because he put out a report that agreed with you? Like, where did that go? And then he responded to this, to be fair to him. He said, my actual reporting on that is solid and accurate. You did not link to it, so I placed it below, and the link is here. My tweet that you screen capped should have said, is reportedly, as that is more accurate and better reflects the original reporting, which, again, you did not link to. So he's saying it should have said, is reportedly, right? He should have said, Kirkpatrick is reportedly a total UFO guy, but he didn't. Right? And he's saying it should have said, and okay, he corrected his position, right? It's like saying I should have said allegedly, right? To sort of protect himself. But this is the video that is very interesting because this is what Stephen Greenstreet thought of Kirkpatrick before. And my video is, hang on, y'all. All right, get ready. Again, this is what Stephen Greenstreet thought of Sean Kirkpatrick before.
Here's the interesting thing. As we commence the presentation.
Sorry, real quick. Let me set this up. So this is the video, right? Skinwalker Ranch, the same thing I brought up before, right? He went to Skinwalker Ranch one time, debunked it. This is Brandon Fugel, however you say his name, owner of Skinwalker Ranch, the show, right? All of that, right? So here it is.
Here's the interesting thing. As we commenced the presentation, I was interrupted by a gentleman at the head of the table, and he said, wait, before we proceed any further, I want to establish an understanding. All the gentlemen here, Mr. Fugel, that you're presenting to, are all very well aware of the reality of the UFO phenomenon. So please dispense with any part of your presentation that would seek to convince us of the reality, because we already know.
Who said that?
One of the individuals leading the discussion.
A source familiar with this briefing told me that this was Sean Kirkpatrick. Kirkpatrick is the director of the Pentagon's current UFO office called the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARROW.
Here's the interesting thing.
Let's watch it again. Pay attention.
Here's the interesting thing. As we commenced the presentation, I was interrupted by a gentleman at the head of the table, and he said, wait, before we proceed any
Again, the person he's talking about is Sean Kirkpatrick.
Further, I want to establish an understanding. All the gentlemen here, Mr. Fugel, that you're presenting to, are all very well aware of the reality of the UFO phenomenon. So please dispense with any part of your presentation that would seek to convince us of the reality, because we already know.
Who said that?
One of the individuals leading the discussion.
A source familiar with this briefing told me that this was Sean Kirkpatrick. Kirkpatrick is the director of the Pentagon's current UFO office called the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARROW.
So, let me be fair. Okay? Some of you may not like this, but let's be fair here. Let's pay attention to the details. Okay? He's saying Sean Kirkpatrick said, wait, before we proceed any further, I want to establish an understanding. All the gentlemen here, Mr. Fugel, that you're presenting to, now this is the part that's depends on how you take it, are all very aware of the reality of UFO phenomenon. Now, some of you hear that and go, oh, they know, this shit's real. Because depending on what your stance is on the UFO phenomena, you're going to take this differently. If you're a believer, you're assuming, oh, it's real. If you're a skeptic, you're assuming they know it's bullshit. Do you see what I'm saying? So this actually doesn't prove anything about Sean Kirkpatrick saying this, because it could go either way. right? He could literally be saying, we're very well of the reality of UFO phenomena, that we think it's bullshit. Does that make sense? He's not saying what that reality is.
Very well aware of the reality of UFO phenomena. So please dispense.
So right here. So please dispense with any part of your presentation that would seek to convince us of the reality, because we already know. Again, if you are a believer, you're going to see they don't need to hear the part that convinces them, because they're already convinced it's real. But that's insinuating a lot from this, because you could insinuate it the other way. They're saying, don't present this to us because we already know it's bullshit. So don't try to tell us it's real. I'm just saying, just being fair here.
With any part of your presentation that would seek to convince us of the reality, because we already know.
Who said that?
One of the individuals leading the discussion.
So, because that's been floating around and people are sharing that, but I just want to be fair. I'm not sure that insinuates, right, anything. But at the time, that's what it was like, holy cow. And Stephen Greenstreet, to be fair, that's how he took it. He took it like, oh, this guy thinks it's real, right? That's what he's saying, because he's a total UFO guy with Skinwalker Ranch ties, right? Reportedly, right? That's what he's getting from this video. So he also, right, maybe now in retrospect, he's like, oh yeah, I misunderstood that. I misreported that. That's an inaccuracy in the reporting. And my actual reporting on that is solid and accurate. It's not. I'm sorry, but it's not. Because I just pointed out how that could go either way. And that is not insinuated at all in your reporting. It's insinuated that Kirkpatrick is a part of it. Now, something that's going to blow y'all's mind. I was going to do a whole video on this, but this just ties into this so perfectly. And honestly, a whole video I just don't even know what to make of this damn article that came out. So, where do I even start? Okay, it came out on the Sun. Okay, now before you react to the Sun, just remember, the New York Post is almost the same, right? It's basically the same thing, except in the UK. You know what I mean? It's no different. So this idea, well, the Sun, whatever. I mean, what's the New York Post? If you go to the New York Post YouTube channel, they got stuff on aliens and UFOs and ghost hunters and all this stuff, as well. And to be fair, I don't see Stephen Greenstreet trying to debunk any of that. The stuff on his own channel under his own publication, right? So, I mean, just being fair. But again, the Sun puts out this article that is absolutely nuts. Look at this. Like, they got an interview with Sean Kirkpatrick. Okay. Release the X-Files. I'm the ex-Pentagon UFO chief, and I was gagged from revealing alien secrets. The bombshell files must be released. Right here at the bottom. The physicist says he was made to step down after revealing concerning activity in our backyard. What? Right? When I saw it, I was like, I'm sorry, what? First of all, Sean Kirkpatrick says in his interviews that he's done recently that he stepped down for not this reason. He stepped down because it was becoming a hassle for him, right? And he felt like he had done all he could do. But I also heard him say in another interview a long time ago that, like, he knew ahead of time how much time he was going to be in this when he took it. So it was predetermined. So I will say those are two conflicting statements from Sean Kirkpatrick, right? I'm just saying. Or I guess they could both be true. But again, in his most recent interviews, he basically makes it sound, he does. He makes it sound like, no, I left because of X reason. But he doesn't mention I had already set up how much time I was going to be at Arrow. So it was predetermined, I was going to leave in December 2023. That was already determined. So anyway, it's just all over the place, this story, man. It's all over the place, and I don't think anybody can get it right. And everyone's trying to say that they have the story right. Stephen Greenstreet, Sean Kirkpatrick. Talk to the other, Jeremy Corbell, Ross Coulthart, you name any of these guys, they all say they have it figured out. It's right. They know 100% what's going on. You know? So, I don't know. I just, for me as a viewer, it's hard to decide. Like, I don't know what's going on. You know, I see David Grush testifying, and I think that seems legitimate. I don't see anything wrong with thinking that. You know what I mean? That's our best bet. Again, he gave a list of places to go, people to talk to. Go do that. And until that comes back, that David Grush is full of shit, and that has never come back, I'm in it. That has not happened, y'all. Again, David Grush's part of his claims have been verified, right, by the Inspector General. I'm just saying, right? And since Kirkpatrick has come out, all of his, the DOD, like the spokesperson, they're just giving conflicting statements about Sean Kirkpatrick, right? He says, I wanted to do more interviews while I was in Arrow, but I couldn't, you know? And then they release a statement, saying like, we approved all of Dr. Kirkpatrick's media appearances, so we didn't deny him anything, right? So it's like, what's going on? Again, there's no way Stephen Greenstreet cannot admit that, our government gives conflicting statements on all this. So again, how does he take it? I don't understand how how does he choose which government official to believe? How is he making that choice? Some he believes, some he doesn't. I don't understand. But this is fascinating, this story. Look at this. The Pentagon's ex-UFO chief has made sensational claims he was gagged from revealing top secret information on alien life. I'm sorry, what? Sean Kirkpatrick, the former director of the U.S. Department of Defense's UFO task force, demanded a whole range of bombshell files be released so the public can truly see what is going on. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick says he was gagged by the Pentagon. The ex-UFO chief demanded files. He said his bosses within the Pentagon stopped him from speaking the truth to the public on multiple occasions, despite him having evidence to support his findings. The physicist, who served as a UFO chief for a year, said he felt that his department wasn't allowed to reveal enough information about mysterious aircraft. Dr. Kirkpatrick explained, "There was a very strong concern to engage in the public discourse as often as I thought we needed to. The fact that the Pentagon leadership, can't figure out how to get at that message without concern for spillage into other areas has always been a frustrating point." I mean, again, like the conflicting statements, even from Dr. Kirkpatrick, like it's just all a mess. Even he's not happy with how the government's running things. Yet we're supposed to believe that his exhaustive investigation into revealing the truth about all UFOs, it's just done. Lock, throw away the key. He figured it out. He's even admitting it's all. He just doesn't, dude. And to Stephen Greenstreet to sort of use it like, yep, he came to the same conclusion I did. Coming to the same conclusion is different than this is exactly the truth over here, right? Again, he kind of admitted it there at Stephen Greenstreet. I'm just now thinking, like, he kind of admitted there in that clip, right? He came to the same conclusion I did. So again, Stephen Greenstreet is coming to conclusions. Granted, in his mind, he's using this evidence that he has, but to make that final leap, he's got to come up with a conclusion and write that. And it's an opinion. I think that's what needs to be understood. And that's fine. We're all allowed to have our opinions. But that is Stephen Greenstreet's opinion. He's sort of reporting it as, this is news, this is fact, 100% accurate, nothing wrong with it. No, dude, it's an opinion. You've come to that conclusion like Sean Kirkpatrick did. But to say you know exactly everything and what's going on and all UFOs and all UAP, I mean, think about it. That doesn't make any sense. That clearly does not make any sense. Again, I'm not saying that they're aliens, but to just say 1,000% none of them are ever and never have been, you can't. Even if the probability is low. right? Even if it's 0.10, you just can't say that, right? That's where the argument is. It's over the probability of it. But it's these definitive statements that are made that, So again, in my opinion, this is just opinion from Stephen Greenstreet, which again is fine. We're all allowed to have our opinion. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinion on UFOs and aliens and whatever, and their own journey on this, this path. No problem. But I would not take it as like facts and news reporting, whatever. It's not. It's his opinion, conclusions he comes to based off reporting he does. Again, he spent that's what he told me to me in a Facebook comment. He spends 5 to 10% of his time at the New York Post on UFOs. So it's not a lot of time, and there's not a lot of time put into this reporting, right? Because again, he went one time to Skinwalker Ranch and debunked it. What? It just doesn't make sense. So again, and this article doesn't make sense, man. He also, right here. He also felt the U.S. government's effort to investigate apparent UFO sightings should have been laid out clearer. So again, I'm going to put a link to all of this, and you can, read it for yourself. Here's the last piece that I'll read. Another massive claim made by the ex-chief was that he was stifled and gagged at press conferences to keep what his team had uncovered a secret. However, the Pentagon categorically denies any Dr. Kirkpatrick's claim, saying he was always allowed to say what he wanted. So again, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, y'all. So, about Dr. Kirkpatrick, who knows? Like, I don't know, right? But this video is about Stephen Greenstreet's video and all of that. And again, those are just the points that I found. I guess it may be semantics. You may agree that they're inaccurate or not, but I definitely don't think they tell the whole truth. I definitely think the reporting is opinion, and that's fine. Again, that's what I do here. I'm an opinion, but I'm not a reporter or anything, right? I'm just a regular dude with a YouTube channel. So, and this is how I see it. This is my opinion on all this, right? I'm not saying this is fact either. I'm just saying this is my opinion. And y'all should make your own conclusions. Come to your own conclusions. Watch it. Think, accept it however you want. It's just how I feel about it. And one thing I would say to Stephen is I just see him use a lot of words like wacky and spooky and crazy and, Jeremy Corbell's a yoga instructor, this, that, right? Like it's a little personal. Kind of takes it to a place that doesn't need to be, right? His personal opinion sort of bleeds into this reporting. I found some things about Stephen online that I did not know doing this video, and I could have showed it, but I didn't. And I just think Stephen should just be careful going the personal way, because people could go the personal way for Stephen, right? And attack him for some of his past. And, that if it's true, what I saw, like, it's not good, man. So I'm just saying, I would just be careful with the personal stuff, because that can be used against you, dude. You know what I mean? And I'm saying you, dude, like Steven, like he's watching this. I don't know. I'm sure he will. I don't know, honestly. I do hope he watches. I hope he puts a comment down below. And he has before. He's been in the chat before. So I'm just saying. And look, I get Twitter is Twitter, and a lot of people do it. So, whatever. I'm not a Twitter guy. Hate Twitter. Hate all that stuff. And, maybe that's just how Twitter is. Maybe I don't understand Twitter. That's just how people do things. If it is, okay, then, I'll shut my mouth about it. But it just seems odd. I just think it could affect your credibility. You know what I mean? If you're trying to be this like serious investigative journalist, as your email signature states under Stephen Greenstreet, it says investigative journalist and video producer, right? So I'm just saying. Because again, when you attack people for like other things that you're like trying to make it seem like they're not credible because of this thing. I mean, dude, I saw another post of Stephen Greenstreet of another story he worked on, and it was a Taylor Swift like merchandise scam story, like an exclusive story, right? Like people could throw that in your face at you, right? Because again, if you go that way with people, then they have a right to go that way with you too, right? It sort of opens the doors. So again, I'm just saying, everyone should do whatever they want, report whatever you want, say whatever you want. It's your opinion. Do whatever you want. This is just my opinion. This is my channel. This is what I'm talking about. Will I continue to watch Basement Office videos? Of course. Absolutely. Does it mean I agree with everything in it? Of course not. I don't agree with anything of everything. Or, of anything. I don't agree with everything of anything. Ever. So, yeah. But look, you always state you want to find inaccuracies in reporting. That's the video I made. So, okay. And y'all asked me to cover it. I hope this as well. I don't know. Sorry for the long video. It is what it is. I'm going to end on a little channel update. Again, I did 2 interviews with 2 YouTube content creators. And I'm going to put links in the description so you can check them out. I did one with Daniel Clancy. Okay. And a channel called Night Shift with Clint. And go check them out. It's pretty cool. It's me just chatting with these guys. Why should you listen to them? What are you going to find out? Well, I'll tell you something interesting from each one that might be worthwhile to check out. In the Daniel Clancy interview, I talk about my feelings on Cosmic Road, the channel, and something that I think is potentially happening there that I find interesting because I think, that guy's a nice guy. So anyway, I made some comments about that. You might find that interesting, that interview. I would check it out. And the other one with Clint, Night Shift, I talked about a Reddit fiasco that was involved in. It's honestly, I thought about making a video about it. I may down the line, but if you want to really find out information about it, go find out. Vetted is being, purposely attacked and not like regular, like it's disturbing, honestly, what's happened to Vetted on Reddit, to be honest with you. So go find out that whole story. It's on Night Shift. It's kind of crazy. So anyway, and they were wonderful, both of those guys. I really enjoyed those interviews. I hope, have no problem going on their shows again. They're great guys, so feel free to check out the rest of their channel and subscribe and follow them. Yeah. So anyway, thank y'all again for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Try to be as fair as possible. And again, at the end of the day, it is just my opinion. So, and I look forward to y'all's comments on this video. Curious how it's going to perform, and I'm curious what the comments and reaction is going to be. So anyway, thank y'all again. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to be doing a video on James Fox's The Program update. Okay, his new documentary that came out. I found out some information, some updated information on it. And honestly, it's great news. So very excited to share that and very excited to do that video for tomorrow. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, y'all, every day's a gift, Vetters. Peace.